Hey everybody, this is Devin Olson, and today we're going to talk about character scale, or more specifically, how to rescale a character that's already been rigged to a skeletal system. So before we begin, let's talk about why character scale is so important. I think it's safe to say that the most important scale of any video game is going to be the character scale. That's because everything that you interact with is going to be done through that scale of the character, from the weapons to the environments you're running through, the doorways. Everything is basically centric around your character scale. So getting those set correctly and consistently across your character is very important. Also, if you have a character not of scale in your 3D application, and then you're rescaling it down to something that you prefer or it needs to be, you're taxing your game engine that much more, and you'll notice you'll start getting some weird artifacts in the shading calculations because it's having to do that extra rescale while trying to perform the shadow calculations on some of these meshes. So, very important to get your scale correctly and consistent. So here we are in 3D Studio Max, and we have a character that looks to be of correct scale. If we look at the grid below it, if these units equal 1 meter, then yes, that's correct. If we go over to Unity, however, and we observe our average male height helper block here, which is set to 1.85 meters or 6 feet 1 inches, that is the average height of the human male, and we drop this character into scene, we can quickly see no, it is not of correct scale. Even though it says it has a scale of 1, 1, 1, it is way bigger than our unit scales in Unity. So how are we going to fix this? Well, we know that we can't just come in here and start trying to scale the biped, whether in figure mode or not, because that's just going to stretch our vertices all around. What we need to do is start to observe what is the units and the grid spacing for this file. So going up to Customize Unit Setup, and then System Unit Setup, we can indeed see that we have 1 unit equals 1.5 meters. And that should be 1 meter, or 1 unit equals 1 meter. And if we were to right click on any of these tools up here, these snap tools, we get this little dialog right here, and if we go to the Home Grid tab, the grid spacing is set to 3 meters. And so that's giving us a false positive in the visual representation of the grid below him, and that too should be set to 1. I happen to like the grid spacing to match what my unit is up there. That way you can get a correct visual representation. And then I also like to have it set to 2, which is right around the character instead of having this vast grid going out there. Doesn't make sense to me. Alright, so now we can start to see a much closer representation of what we're seeing in our game engine out here in our 3D application. So what we want to do is we're going to go ahead and go to Customize, Unit Setup, and we're going to start changing this value maybe to like 0.5. Right click here. You'll see it's already at 0.5, so we'll set that to 1. Hit save, go back to Unity, and we'll start seeing this guy get down to where we need it to be. Okay, we'll probably tweak that a little bit more. What we're doing is we're just getting it right to where we want it to, so maybe 0.45 on there, and then 1 on that. And I'm just trying to get his helmet to be right at the top of this block. That was too much. I'll go to 4.8. Alright, so I like that one. That's pretty good. Now, what we can't do is just leave our character here at a unit setup of 4.8 and then move on to another character and set that to something like 3.7 and so on and so forth. Again, we need to be consistent, and the reason being is that if I was to open up another scene right now in Max, this unit setup is going to carry over to that scene unless I come back in here and change it to some other value, and that's going to get cumbersome, and you're going to forget it, and you're going to be rescaling objects left and right. So keeping this to a consistent number of 1 is very important. So how do we do that without rescaling our character to the incorrect scale? Well, let's just go ahead and go up to File, New, not Reset. So the difference between New and Reset is that New will clear out the scene but keep your unit set up as well as any materials that you have set up. So we have a multi-sub object with all these materials for this character. We don't want to lose that. Reset does a full reset of viewports, units, and all your materials. So just go to New, and our character is gone, but we have kept our material. Then we're going to go up to Customize, Unit Setup. We're now going to set this to 1, which is ultimately what we want it to be. Then right click, go to Home Grid, and set that also to 1. Lastly, we're going to go to File, Import, Merge, and we're going to merge in that character. So here's our merge dialog. You're going to want to first choose All, And then down here, you're going to notice that this is rescale objects to system unit. Make sure that is checked, and it's only available to be checked or unchecked if what you're merging in is of different unit size than what our scene is, which is perfect. So click OK, and there we go. We now have our unit set up and our grid spacing to 1, a consistent number, and our character is now set to that same scale. So if we hit save, we're going to save over the old file now. Go back into Unity, and he is a 111 out here. He is a unit setup of 1 over here. His grid spacing visually is set up to 1, and we have all of our textures. So that is how you properly rescale a character to the desired size and then get everything to a consistent number. Alright, hope this has been helpful. Thank you.